What's up, my pretties? It's the Queen of Lions here. Today we have episode 144 for Shadows and Pretties. And today in this episode, I am going to be reviewing the Scooby Doo movie. It's been quite a little bit, actually. Maybe it's been a couple of episodes since I did what was it? Oh, yeah. Since I did, the Scooby Doo movie. Not Scooby Doo movie, but a Scooby Doo movie. I haven't did one on Scooby Doo in quite a little while actually. Because the last time I did one, I believe was Cyber Chase or Alien Invaders. I honestly can't really exactly put my finger on when the last time I did it, but I remember it was before Halloween when I did it. So, yeah. In this episode today, I'm going to be doing a review on the Scooby Doo live action movie. And the one I'm talking about, in case you guys are wondering, I'm going to be talking about the one from 2002. And yes, this movie, it came out in 2002 on June 14th. And yeah, and this one, it apparently is going to be turning 20 years old this year. Like almost 20 years ago, this movie came out. God, I feel old. I remember watching this movie when I was a kid, like on DVD, and most of you guys probably have remembered, watching this as a kid. So, yeah, and now, to honesty, I think I should go ahead and, do a review on this movie because, it's been quite a little bit since the last time I sat there and decided to, do this one, but yeah. I know it's actually quite a bit because the last time I just looked at my Shadows and Praise episode. The last time I talked about a Scooby Doo movie was Legend of the Vampire, and yeah, that was the last Scooby Doo movie I did a review on. Was somewhere in October. So yeah, today I'm gonna be talking about the 2002 live action movie on Scooby Doo, and I have to say, I honestly really do enjoy Scooby Doo a whole lot. I'm not joking right now. I enjoyed Scooby Doo for a long time. Like, I was a fan of Scooby Doo ever since I was a kid. I still enjoy him to this day. I'm sure most of you guys who are Scooby Doo fans still enjoy Scooby. So, yeah, what better way to, review this movie than to do a Shadows and Pretties episode on it? So, anyways, I think we should all just sit back and begin with this review. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to, explain, what this, movie, is about, especially for those who haven't watched the movie in, a while. Now, this, is a cult following, over the years, which is, the film had maintained. This is the last time that Will Hanna served as executive producer before his death on March 22nd, 2001. A sequel to Scooby Doo Monsters Unleashed, which I will review that movie sometime in another episode or so, was released on March 26th, 2004. So, um, this has got some pretty good acting, like pretty good live action version of a movie for Scooby Doo. I love how Scooby Doo in this was animated in CGI, live action animation. Kind of like how they did that with, Disney's Lion King live action Lion King movie and a few others that Disney used CGI animation to bring, you know, certain, real life animals to life. And with this movie, CGI animation was used to bring Scooby Doo, to life. So, I guess with that being said, I think we should get started on, talking about this movie. So basically, this happens when starts off with Mystery Inc. solves the mystery of the Luna ghosts, a long brewing friction between Fred, a glory hog Daphne, who becomes sick of being the one getting captured all the time. Velma, whom Fred regularly steals credit for her plans, causes the gang to, separate each other, making Scooby and Shaggy feel abandoned. Now, basically, the gang split apart, just kind of like how they did with Zombie Island. If you remember me talking about Scooby Doo on Zombie Island, the gang ended up splitting. 2 years later, they all get invited to to solve a mystery on Spooky Island, which is a horror-themed tropical resort owned by Emil Mondavarius, or aka Mondavarius. He claims that the visiting tourists have been brainwashed, and Velma attends to a ritualistic performed by the cohort Engu to Tohana with his henchmen, Zarkos and the famous Lanchador. Engu then claims that the ancient demons once ruled the island, but have been plotting revenge on it ever since they were replaced by the resort. So Shaggy and Scooby do some crazy stuff like in certain scenes. Shaggy eventually falls in love with a girl named Mary Jane, distancing himself from Scooby in the process, so Scooby kind of got a little jealous. I could honestly tell when I watched the movie for the first time. In the resort's haunted house ride, the gang split up to eventually look for clues. Fred and Velma encounter a school that educates inhuman creatures about human culture, while Daphne discovers a pyramid-like shaped artifact called the Daemon-ritis. The island demons then kidnap and possesses Fred and Velma and Mondavarius along with the other tourists. The next day, Daphne is also possessed when Zarkos captures her and steals the Daemon-ritis in an underground chamber. So Shaggy finds a vat of the protoplasm containing the souls of those possessed, frees his friend's souls. Velma eventually then destroys the sunlight to the demons. A voodoo priest Daphne had met earlier on the island explains that the demon will rule the world for the next 10,000 of years if pure soul has been sacrificed. So the gang realizes that the pure soul is Scooby, whom Mondavarius brought to Spooky Island for that very reason. Fred, Daphne, and Velma finally decide to put their differences aside, work together with Shaggy to save Scooby. The gang then plots to make the demons explode, but it fails only when Daphne escapes capture. Mondavarius extracts Scooby's soul by using the Daemon-ritis, but Shaggy dashes into Mondavarius, causing Scooby's soul to be released. Fred and Daphne discovers Mondavarius is actually a robot controlled by Scooby's estranged nephew, Scrappy Doo, who the gang abandoned years ago for his power-hungry nature to become uncontrollable. And yes, I mean, I didn't mind Scrappy in, the animated version, but I never expected Scrappy to be this evil. I never ever thought of that. Like, I honestly really didn't like Scrappy as a kid. I mean, I kind of like him now. Like, I think he's an okay character, but I prefer Scooby a lot more. So, absorbing the tourists' souls, Scrappy transforms into a monster and tries to kill the game, while Zarko attacks Daphne, but she defeats him by kicking him into the ritual chamber, where he knocks over the vat, and the souls are set free to return to their bodies. Daphne kills the demons by reflecting the sunlight on the disco ball that shapes into like a skull head. Now, Shaggy rips the Daemon-ritis off of Scrappy's body to free the rest of the souls to find the real Mondavarius imprisoned, having been captured by Scrappy so he could pose as double. Scrappy, Engo, Zarkos, and the minions are arrested while the game promises to continue solving mysteries together. In the mid-credit scenes, before the end of the movie, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo take part in all-you-can-eat event on the island and to challenge each other to see who could eat the most chilies, and that's how the movie ends. Now, I remember watching this movie back when I was like a kid. I mean, there were some scenes that were pretty terrifying. Even as a young kid, there were some scenes that were honestly quite terrifying. I mean, kids' movies do know how to make, a lot of characters, really looking really scary and etc. I mean, I've seen a lot more crazy stuff when it comes to these kind of movies. So the filming around this movie takes place around Queen's Island in Australia. I mean, I was surprised that they took place in Australia, on Queen's Island. So the place took in and around that area. I mean, that's pretty interesting. So eventually there is a Scooby-Doo Spooky Coaster. A ride based on the film was built in a Warner Brothers movie world in Gold Coast in Australia in 2003. And yeah. So basically, the film was generally have negative reviews from critics who criticized its script, humor, visual effects. However, Lillard's performance received some praise, and aka Shaggy. Now, I really like that Matthew Lillard, who did the voice of Shaggy, did the playing as Shaggy as the first two Scooby Doo movies, actually is voicing Shaggy in some of the animated Scooby Doo movies and shows now. Like, I'm very surprised because, I've always liked him. He was actually a pretty funny character and knows how to, make kids laugh. Like, as a kid, I found him to be very funny, to be honest, especially with the humor that actually has a pretty good stuff. Eventually, Charles Roven begins developing a live action treatment for Scooby Doo sometime in 1994, but by the end of the decade, the combined popularity of Scooby Doo Where Are You, along with the addition script and the updated digital animation lead Warner Bros., to basically fast track the production of the film. Mike Myers was reported to be the co-writing for a screenplay with Jay Cogan in July of 1998 and was later on board to play Shaggy as well. Yes, the same actor who played the ogre in in the movie Shrek. In 2000 in October, the film was officially given to the screen in light. Variety reported that Raja Konsel had been hired to direct the film. The movie references from several pop cultures, particularly scenes with a mystery machine, and Scooby has and his kicks for his bottle, and some, mouth elf with eye toys and etc. The film was shot in location around Queen's Island, Australia, and the production of it started in February 12th of 2001. But at the Warner Brothers Movie World theme park, over 400 cast and crew were taking over the Talagoma Island resort for 6 weeks for the film to have the scene set on the spooky island. Now, the production was wrapped in 2001 in June, and the film was originally to have it set to a much darker tone, essentially poking the fun out of the original series, like the Brady Bunch movie, which I've never seen the Brady Bunch movie or heard of it. Well, I've heard of the show, but I've never seen the movie, so that's actually going to be another movie to review on my list once I have the time, that is. And it was originally set to be a PG-13 rating, and Shaggy was set to be a stoner where he had many marijuana references, or weed, and several rumors of these aspects from the original cartoon series were passed around by fans of the original who were to be incorporated into the live action film. In March of 2001, 1 month into the filming, the first official cast picture was released. According to Sarah Michelle Gellar, after the cast had signed, there was a change. The film had became more family friendly, though, as some of the original adult jokes are still in the film. They are also included in the deleted scenes on the home media releases. Of course, she also said that her character for Cardellini's shared on screen kiss did not make it to the final film. It wasn't just like for fun. She said explain it took in place in the body switching scene. Intentionally, the soul wrapping scene where Velma and Daphne couldn't seem to get their souls back together in the woods, so they had to find a way it was to kiss and go to souls to get back as a proper arrangement. Now, when the casting was going on, Prince Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar, who are both husband and wife, yes, they are married, in case if you didn't know, previously worked in I Know What You Did Last Summer movie and portray, Fred and Daphne, are romantically involved in both the film and reality. This film even marks the first time in the franchise's history where the characters are portrayed as a couple. The the pair married shortly after the film was released, and Prince said his character, he always showed more arrogance than everyone else. So in the movie, I took the opportunity to make him as a narcissistic, self-loving as possible. Jim Carrey was originally attached to play Shaggy, while Mike Myers also expressed in the role, but the role was eventually given to Matthew Lillard. When he asked about watching several cartoons before playing Shaggy, Lillard responded, everything I could get my hands on. If I have to see another episode of Scooby Doo, it'll be way too soon. Lillard will then continue to voice Shaggy for the rest of, Scooby Doo media, and that started sometime in 2010. Like, holy hell, like almost, like basically 12 years ago. I mean, I really like this Shaggy character, and I'm really glad that Matthew Lillard was able to play Shaggy in this movie, because it's just so amazing, you know? So Fisher grew up watching Scooby Doo in Australia and said the best part of making the movie was being part of the situation, something that has been in people's childhoods and is something that really means a lot of people. So Carl Denley, the what is it? Oh yeah, the actor for Scooby Doo, grew up as a kid watching the show and was also a fan of the series. So the filming began sometime on February 13th, 2001, and it was finished in June of 2001. So we already know that the filming took place in Queensland throughout Australia. So there are merchandise that came out of this movie shortly after. There's a video game based on this for Game Boy Advance shortly after the film was released. And yeah, I mean, there is also like a novel by American fantasy fiction, science fiction movie that came out. So this movie was released on VHS and DVD in 2002 in October, and the release included some deleted scenes, which I may get into those I think that, yeah, I might get into those maybe in another time or something, as well as, the original television series. They included amongst them the alternative opening, animated the style original television. It came out in Blu-ray in 2007, and said the Blu-ray was given a double feature pack with the sequel, Monsters Unleashed, sometime in 2010 in November. So, I would have to say there is a sequel movie called Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, which was released in 2004. The third film was planned, but unfortunately it was canceled after the poor critical and financial results of the second movie. And in 2009 and 10, two telefilms prequels were released, such as Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Begins and Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the Lake Monster. But the only thing I would have to say is that it changed a little bit was the fact that, well, I could definitely just state this right here and right now that they had different cast of characters for those two movies. There is a spin-off film called Velma and Daphne, and that one came out in 2018, but I've never seen it, so I don't really know that movie too well, so yeah, I'm gonna have to see that. And there's also an animated reboot of the movie called Scoob that came out like 2 years ago, but I have not seen that movie yet, so yeah, I can't really answer too much about that. So anyway, so that being said, yeah, I really like this movie. It's worth to watch if you are a fan of Scooby Doo. I recommend you go check out the movie if you haven't. Yeah. With that being said, I mean, it's a good movie. If you're a fan of Scooby Doo, I recommend you check out the movie. You'll not be disappointed. And I'm gonna sit here and say this right now that this is my own opinion. If you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. And as always, what did you guys think about this movie? You like it? You not? Also, what we have done personally to help make this story a lot better. Feel free to leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. As always, I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you're new to this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notification so when you that way you can get updates to my new uploads. So that way you won't miss them. And as always, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace out.